Don't buy this carving material, and let me tell you why. This was my favorite stamp. I love this stamp, and I'm going to show you how I did this. But I was so disappointed as the years went on. I kept using it and it wasn't usable, and I was just getting so frustrated. And then I realized this material was the problem. Also, if you're new here, I'm Autumn. I love to carve stamps. I love to play with my carved stamps and other mixed media adventures. So if that seems like something you'd be interested in too, please be sure to subscribe. Okay, so this is a piece left over from my unfortunate buying experience on Etsy. This is a piece of rubber material for carving stamps or carving blocks. I was really excited about it. I thought it was going to be so cool because it had these layers where the white was in between and the red was on top. There's several colors so that when you carve into it, you can see what you've carved. That's very cool. I thought this was a great concept. I thought this was a great idea. And I purchased quite a lot of this. Several colors. I thought this is going to be so great. It's going to be fun to play with. And I carved a lot of stamps with it. Not a lot, but enough to learn the hard way that this was not the best carving material. I don't know how many years it took before the material finally just started to break down. But what I did notice was as I was using it, it was getting harder and harder to make an impression with it. So what that means was the material was just getting hard. It was getting harder and harder so that when it went to make the impression onto the paper, there was no give. There was no way for the stamp to really and truly kind of press into the paper to make the print. So I kept noticing as I was using these stamps that I had carved that this isn't working. But then it did finally happen as I kept having more difficulty using these stamps to print with. The material started to break down and it started to crack, literally break down. So then I realized, oh, this is garbage. They come in layered colors, they come in solid colors, and they're all beautiful. They're all vibrant and lovely, but they don't hold up. So don't make the mistake that I made and buy this really cute, cool colors, carving materials off of Etsy because you think this would be cool, this will be neat to carve with, this will be awesome to see where I've carved, and no. Don't do it. I have several stamps that I carved that now I have to recarve because I can't use them. I carved several baskets. I love my little baskets and pots, vessels, and they're just unusable. And even on this leaf, you can see how cracked it is. It's just horrible. Oh wait, it literally just broke in my hands. Just crumbled in my hands. Oh geez. So I recarved this stamp in pink Speedy Carve, and I'm really glad I did, and let me show you the difference. Okay, so this design I loved. It was just one of my favorite. I loved playing with it. I did design it to kind of, sort of, connect a little bit. I wasn't doing a seamless repeat. I was doing a funky freeform repeat that even if it showed a little bit, the repeat, that was okay. Or even if it didn't line up, it still had a really cool look to it. And that was what I was going for with this design. So when I designed it, let me just show you really fast. I don't even remember how I designed it. I must have used a Sharpie or something. So I'm just making some thick, bumpy designs. I'm being really carefree with it. I do want it to have unevenness. I don't want it to be even. I want it to have uniqueness, and I would add a lot of detail, extra lines, and I'm not going to go all the way to the end, but I'm going to get close. Okay, so now I've got something to start with. I would fill it in a little bit more, but I can do that later if I decide to go with this design. So now what I want to do is I want to cut this in half directly down the middle. Well, it doesn't have to be direct, it just has to be straight. So I'm going to use a cutter. I'm going to use a little paper trimmer. I'm just going to zip it right down. It's not even, see, it's not even. That's okay. So now I have this. This is my design. It's cut in half. So now I'm going to line it up this way. I'm going to connect the opposite sides. I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to bring it together. Now, if you can see here, I kind of brought the edges of the design. Let's see, let me show you. So you can see here that I brought the edges of the design to a complete arch on either end because I wanted it to be able to stand on its own, because a true seamless repeat would look like this. So for instance, this is a more true, accurate, seamless repeat, horizontal repeat. See what I'm saying? So either way you do it, this way or this way. But if I would have carved this as a stamp, it would have had all these open ends on the sides, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to have some sort of closure on the end so it could kind of stand on its own. That was my thinking with this. So now I have the two pieces taped back together, and then I'm going to finish it off. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. I would just kind of do it like this, kind of bring it like this a little bit. This is a really rough version, but you kind of get the idea. So that when it goes back to just the stamp by itself, it's somewhat completed on both sides. You get the idea. And you can definitely see what I did here. With this design, I took more time and I thought it through. But you get the idea that when I go to stamp this, it somewhat comes together. Now, on the top and the bottom, I didn't line those up. I absolutely could have, and then I would have cut the card into 4s, but I didn't need to do that because you can kind of see, it can kind of just meet itself a little bit. Even if it overlaps a little bit, it kind of works out. And that was the idea that I was going with this. So now I have my new stamp carved with my pink Speedy Carve, and I have a memory of a stamp that had potential and just never came through. They're definitely going to be different, but I traced this pattern because I did have it. So in one of my sketchbooks, I had stamped this when it was still stampable. So then I traced it and then I transferred it to the pink Speedy Carve so that I could make another stamp. So that's what happened here, and I'm really glad that I did, because now I can really play with this stamp, and I think it's going to be so much more fun to use, because this really is not usable. I'm actually glad I didn't carve a gazillion stamps with this crappy material. It's just the worst, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. It just won't stamp, and I'll get my really good paper. All right, so this is pink Speedy Carve here, and you're going to see the difference. Make sure my stamp is inked up really well. Great impression, great print. I'm going to do the same with this one. I'm even going to turn it over, which is my tip for making sure you get enough, ink applied. You can see it this way, and I'm really going to make sure I really load it up with ink. Now I'm going to give it a print, give it nice firm pressure, and it just won't make contact with the paper. I could do it again and again, but trust me, it just doesn't work. You can see the difference. It's really quite remarkable. Okay, I hope you get the big picture. Don't be fooled by the glamour of the colors. Just stick with the proven product that I've told you is the best. So you're not going to be sorry when you do. And of course, I'll leave a link below for getting the pink Speedy Carve. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.